In an attempt to save his closest friend, Kaido desperately pushes on. He tries to solve the puzzle so that he may finally reunite with his friend. Meanwhile, Nanoa and the others decide that they need to get in on the action and thus make their way to England. On their way, Tsuji tells the others about the fool's puzzles, and they were not really thrilled to hear about it. On Kaido's end, he finally gets to meet Rook, and the old buddies start reminiscing about their old master, Jin Makoto. But trouble arrives once again as the room starts to fill with fire. Seeing no way out of this, Kaido enters the Phi-Brain state and lets the big brain guy handle it all. But even an enhanced Kaido is unable to solve the puzzle as there is no way out of the room. And that's when Rook gives him the surprise of his life. He reveals his true identity as a POG giver and the creator of this fool's puzzle. He adds that he wanted him to achieve the Phi-Brain and try to solve it. Amidst all the chit-chat, however, the platform crumbles down from under Kaido's feet and he falls down into the fire. However, he is saved by the heroic effort Rook makes to dive and go after him. He then leaves him unconscious outside the front door of the chapel and disappears once again. Nanoa later finds him lying face down in the rain, completely unconscious. After the events of the fool's puzzle, Kaido is still lying unconscious in the hospital, unable to wake up. Kubik is feeling really mad about all this and thus accepts Rook's invitation to solve a puzzle in order to prove that he'd do anything for Kaido. He is invited to an abandoned military base where a different POG giver is ready to give him a puzzle. Kubik is tested with a maths puzzle, and the conditions are set so that he would get blown up by a tank if he fails. On the other end, Kaido wakes up and explains to everyone what went down in the middle of the last puzzle. Meanwhile, Kubik struggles with the puzzle and the giver shows some pity and offers him a chance to escape. But the stubborn boy believes in himself and in the end manages to solve the puzzle right at the last second. However, the giver doesn't really let him enjoy his victory as he puts him in a state of panic and insecurity by revealing that the puzzle was designed by Rook when he was 5. Kubik, now with a broken ego and judging himself unworthy of being Kaido's friend, acts a bit dejected. Kaido notices that and gets angry at Rook for doing this to him. To investigate a bit on the perpetrator, Anna goes to investigate some ruins that were mentioned by Nanoha, with the fact that Kaido and Rook used to hang out there together. As Anna reaches the ruins, she encounters a POG giver and once again indulges in puzzle solving. The puzzle is a maze and Anna finds her way through it quite easily. Apart from some foolish interruptions by Gammon and Kubik getting out of there okay, she gives Kaido a wooden puzzle that Rook made for him back when they were kids. Rook shares everyone's surprise when he looks at that wooden piece. After a hectic few days in England for everyone, the gang decides to travel back home. However, POG has taken over the airlines and thus the gang decides to take a vacation in Venice. On Tsuji's end, he is going to see Rook about the Phi-Brain project. Gammon, on the other hand, figures out that their unplanned detour wasn't so unplanned for the POG as they have arranged a fool's puzzle for the boys. He then goes alone to solve it. The puzzle turns out to be a unique one as they go through some numbered gates on a gondola. He somehow manages to reach the end but finds it difficult to solve. Plus, the added pressure of a rising tide compels him to think fast. However, he misses yet another chance of becoming a hero as Kaido arrives on the scene and saves the day in his Phi-Brain state. This really annoys Gammon, as it should. The gang is finally able to come back home and funnily enough, another trouble has already begun. The principal, Baron Kaido, has gone missing. Not having any leads about the principal matter, Kaido gets sidetracked by a call from POG. He and his friends go to the given location, which happens to be the one where his parents died. They'd also find Baron there. Kaido receives a video that shows that his parents too, in fact, were POG givers and that they were monitoring his brain for the Phi-Brain project. Baron reveals that the givers were not his real parents and that he too is a POG member. He tells him everything there is to know about the project and further insists that his parents loved him like he was their own kin. All these developments come out as a shock for Rook. Following all these events, Kaido decides to solve the fool's puzzle that killed his parents once and for all and put an end to that matter. He activates the Phi-Brain state and solves the puzzle as a send-off to his parents. Baron, on the other hand, is captured by the POG for his betrayal after he leaves Kaido with the information that his master Jin is being held captive by the POG. After the events of the puzzle, Kubik and Anna become even more sure that they shouldn't hang around Kaido. So they start avoiding him even though Nanoha doesn't like it one bit. Meanwhile, Gammon is conflicted on whether he should become a POG giver or not. He is worried that if he refuses, they might start targeting Nanoha. So he calls her and Kaido out for a meeting and tells them that they shouldn't be seeing each other anymore. Naturally, he faces a lot of opposition, but he decides to end the argument with a puzzle of his own design. The puzzle includes trapping your opponent in laser walls. Kaido, as usual, uses his Phi-Brain state to add another win to his streak. Gammon then leaves and decides that he will indeed become a POG giver. Maru, the cute little sister of Gammon, is worried that Gammon hasn't contacted her much. But without taking up much of the screen time, she exits the scenario as Gammon arrives at the POG headquarters to become a giver. But nothing is really that easy as the other givers stand in his way to getting to Rook. He solves their puzzles one by one and finally reaches Bishop, the right-hand man of the boss. His puzzle includes changing the motorbike lanes to catch up to your opponent. Kaido and Nanoha, on the other end, are approached by a woman named Elena. She tells them that Gammon is joining the POG and gives Nanoha a puzzle as well, where she shines and solves it herself without any interference from Kaido. Kaido experiences a strange reaction in the Orpheus wristband, as Gammon finally clears Bishop's puzzle and passes the test to become a giver. Gammon gives Kaido a new and deadly puzzle, while his sister and Nanoha, completely removed from the excitement, have dinner. On Kaido's end, it's revealed that Gammon is searching for something called the God Scrolls. He's trying to find these so that he can complete the puzzle of God. Kaido is, as usual, solving the puzzle neatly but is unable to bring it home as he sees a vision of his friends horribly dying. This causes him to make a mistake, and thus he makes an error. But Bishop steals Gammon's win as he comes to shut the puzzle down before Kaido could be harmed. The next day, Kaido is still having that vision, and this time it continues. He sees that if the puzzle of God is solved, then the destruction of the world is inevitable. He arrives at the conclusion that this is a vision of the future and decides to solve the puzzle of God himself to save his friends and, well, the entire world too. Kaido starts experiencing the effects of being a nerd who solves puzzles all the time as he starts getting visual problems and is unable to focus on anything when he sees puzzles. Cubic, being the scientist he is, tells him that his brain is evolving too fast and that he should stop solving puzzles if he wants to retain his sanity. Kaido then does the usual and ignores his advice completely to face yet another fool's puzzle. Unbeknownst to him, Cubic and Suji try to hack into the POG's network. Kaido solves the puzzle easily, but the stress and his recent condition don't really agree with him, as he's still not able to see anything. Nanoha comes to the rescue and snaps him out of that state. On the other end, Cubic and Suji succeed in their little endeavor. Rook takes Baron to the place where Jim is being held captive, where he finds out that Rook has also made a contract with Orpheus and has a wristband of his own. Baron finds Jin in a devastated state. He then explains to Gammon that the leader of POG is called Count Pythagoras. He adds that he is trying to create a rift and initiate a conflict between Rook and Kaido so that he can open the gate to the puzzle of God. Meanwhile, Cubic shows Kaido the data that he had gathered from hacking into the POG network. The data shows that many years ago, Pythagoras tried to achieve Phi-Brain by using the abilities of Jin, who was back then a solver for POG and had a contract with Orpheus. But just like Kaido, Jin tapped into the future and saw that in the future Pythagoras would destroy the world. Seeing the horrific sight, Jin quit solving puzzles for POG and dedicated his time to figuring out a way to stop Pythagoras in his tracks. Baron, however, stayed in POG and became a giver to act as an inside agent for Jin. The boys then come across a hidden file named Pythagoras is Dead. Rook then makes his appearance and tells everyone that he has been the one in control of everything after Pythagoras kicked the bucket 6 months ago. He also reveals his wristband and contract with Orpheus, while Kaido sees that the man who destroys the world in his visions is none other than himself. After this encounter with Rook, Kaido goes to see Anna. He looks at Anna's drawings, and while they really are splendid artistic pieces, he sees something different. He sees that the paintings are quite similar to the dystopian future that he is envisioning. He also explains that since the future keeps changing, it's yet to be determined what is going to happen. The next day, Gammon once again challenges Kaido to a final puzzle. The puzzle involves climbing up a bunch of platforms while avoiding death at the hands of your opponent. Kaido wants to solve the puzzle, but he also doesn't want to harm his friend, so he tries to think of a way to eat his cake and have it too. The conflict in ideas breaks the Orpheus wristband. This retains his mental prowess while also keeping his ideals intact, not turning him into the calm, composed, and the rather heartless person he usually turns to in his Phi-Brain state. He then solves the puzzle in a way that ensures his victory, while also saving his buddy's life. Rook gets really surprised with the results and has an outburst. All of these events change Kaido's vision of the future. The entire hierarchy and structure of POG break apart after Rook's outburst. Rook then contacts Kaido and asks that they spend some time together, not as givers and solvers, but as friends. Kaido gets surprised at the sudden change but agrees to meet him. They spend some wholesome time together, but the story has a twist. Rook challenges him to a fight to the death because he wants to unlock the God Scrolls that he has with him. The two friends go to the island of Keika because Kaido is hoping that he may be able to save Rook as well, just as he saved Gammon. Speaking of Gammon, he and Baron team up to save Jin and are successful in this mission. Bishop the No, 2 of POG, then asks the rest of the gang, including Nanoha, Cubic, and Suji, to stop the two fools from carrying out their death battle. The big final showdown between two friends happens in a solar system-based puzzle. The puzzle is simple enough already, but Rook makes it even simpler by telling Kaido that if he reaches the sun, then Rook will fall and die. Kaido tries to solve the puzzle on his own, but doesn't have much luck with that. But as he realizes that he can call his friends for help, and that the puzzle is based on the wooden puzzle Rook made for him many years ago, Kaido solves the puzzle and saves Rook thanks to his friends chipping in and steering the duo back to safety, while he stops the sun from crumbling down himself. Brook then realizes that making puzzles to prove a point or trying to solve the puzzle of God wasn't his intention, and that he only made puzzles for fun. The realization and the oath to make more puzzles for fun causes the Orpheus wristband to disappear, and thus he embarks on a journey of self-discovery and decides to completely rebuild the POG from the ground up. The end. For now, it may seem like the end, but many more adventures are in store for Kaido and Co.